Hey guys, so in this week's video, I want to go over some tips and tricks and secrets that I've learned over the years on how to cure some of the eggs I'm going to be doing, talk about scraping some eggs right here that I want to show you, and go over some of the things that I use to catch giant trout through the ice. But first, before I do that, I just want to talk real quickly about one of our new reel sponsors, Piscifun. If you're going to be doing some ice fishing this winter, whether you're fishing for trout or panfish, check out the Carbon X series of reels. If you hit the description and the link below, the code EH15, you can save yourself 15% on some of these reels. You're going to like them. They're really affordable, good reel, good ball bearings. They're light, they're smooth drag. I love them. Check them out. You guys will like them as well. But let's get into the meat of today's video. And I want to talk about this past week. When I went out, a lot of guys ask me, what do you do to your eggs? Because the whole process of how you take care of your eggs, if you're going to fish the Great Lakes and the tribs through the ice in the winter, in the fall, for trout have a keen sense of smell. So the first thing you do when you catch a brown trout or a steelhead, if you're going to harvest one of these fish, is you bleed the fish out. You want absolutely no blood in your fish. Now the brown trout, these are brown trout eggs, as you can see. And this is in a skein, and what I mean by skein, you can see all the eggs are connected, so they are not quite fully ready to be spawning. Once this fish is ready to spawn in a few weeks from now, all these eggs are going to be loose inside the fish. So there's two ways you can fish skein. Now the first thing is you can cut it up into chunks like this, and you can fish it in a spawn bag. You can fish it on the bottom. I use chunks of skein on the bottom ice fishing all the time. It works tremendous. And you can vacuum seal it in a chunk about this size. There's 2 skeins per fish, right? So I want to show you what I'm going to do with the first skein. I'm going to scrape the eggs. And if you're not familiar with scraping the eggs, first thing you want to do is it kind of makes a mess. So you want to be inside somewhere, you know, with a sink or your workbench area. You know, my wife is not home today, so luckily for me, I can kind of get away with this inside the kitchen because she might yell at me if I didn't. But so let's go into the scraping. I've got some rabbit mesh here, just some wiring here that you can get at any hardware store, right? Real small little square sections here, because brown trout eggs are kind of small. You can get a little bit bigger section if you want to try this with salmon eggs. So you just place that over the top of any bowl, and you're just going to take the eggs like this. See how I rub? Just kind of put steady pressure down like this, back and forth, just kind of rubbing the eggs, and they're all going to scrape right here. And just for time purposes, this is one skein. It took me about, I don't know, maybe 25 seconds. See how it's almost all done right there? Might spend a little bit more time on it, but I just kind of work it through. Then you're kind of left. We'll try to get the rest of these eggs. Oh, almost dropped that. That could have been bad. We'll put those here. So now you have all your loose eggs. A lot of you guys are always asking me too, you're saying, hey, why do you wear gloves or this or that? Because the eggs are full of oil and it kind of dries out your hands, and when you're fishing you don't want human scent on them. So a lot of times when I'm fishing or when I'm handling the eggs, I will use latex gloves. I'm not doing it right now, but if you're going to get into this, you're going to want some latex gloves. So we got our loose eggs here, right? Beautiful, loose, primo brown trout eggs. I mean, this is what you want, guys, right here. So the next thing I'm going to do, there's 2 ways you can take care of these eggs. I've got some pink cure here, just some pink pro cure, right? So what I'll do is I'm going to cure up this batch, and I'm not going to cure up this batch. And I purposely do that. I have some eggs I use no cure, and other eggs I use some cure. And I like using more cure when I'm fishing the river. But check out how much I put in here real quick. So just not a ton. Not a ton. Just kind of sprinkling it in there. See that? Let's save that right there because I got a couple little extra cents added in there, and we're just going to mix it up. And it's going to turn those brown trout eggs a little bit more pink, right? And now what I'm going to do is take that and I'm going to dump it into a bag, just like this, right? And we're going to let that sit in the bag in my fridge for 24 hours. So after 24 to 36 hours, the cure and everything's going to set up on these eggs. And then I like to use, you know, kind of this pinkish color brown egg when I'm fishing the tribs or where there's current or there's dirtier water. I'll add bigger spawn bags. The other thing I will do Okay, and now let's say tomorrow when these eggs are cured, or I'll scrape the rest of these eggs off here, and now I want to preserve them, right? Because for those of you guys that go out and you catch a female like this, you don't want to unthaw all your eggs at one crack. You want them to be able to, you want to do them in small portions. So even this amount of eggs I'm not going to use in one day. So for me, I'll probably slice these in half, just like that. And then what I do is I vacuum seal them, okay? So you can see I vacuum sealed these. This is from earlier this year. I cut open the bag, then I take them. So if you're not familiar with, you know, vacuum sealing them, basically all I do is just get a food saver, throw the eggs in a small bag, a small amount, and then I vacuum seal them to preserve them. Freeze them, you'll have your skein frozen. I use, like I said, I use skein on the bottom, I use it on tip-ups, I use it on jaw jackers. It is a great bait, but if you want loose eggs, now you know how to scrape your eggs. So hopefully you enjoyed this little tip on how to preserve your spawn sacs. And you know, if you're not familiar with fishing spawn and you're going to come down here and try this, guys, chartreuse, peach, pink, and white is pretty much all you need. You grab yourself some magic thread, put the spawn inside the square, fold up the corners, wrap it up. Now you got the best bait in the world for catching giant brown trout and giant steelhead across the Great Lakes. So hopefully you enjoyed this week's video. I gotta get this stuff cleaned up and start making dinner before my butt is gonna be on the McScriddle itself. Leave me a comment. Hope you enjoyed this week's video. Check out the Piscifun reels, and I gotta get rolling. Thanks for watching, guys.